Hello. Welcome back to another episode of my Garage Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be talking mainly about what's going on in the world. But first, I think I want to talk about what's been going on in my life and the next big steps. In the next couple weeks, I'm going to be visiting the two schools that I got accepted to. Recently, I've been having a hard time deciding what school would be better for me. I know that for Santa Barbara, it's a better program and I would have a better future there. But with SLO, I just feel better about it. And I don't know, because I have some friends there and it's just making me nervous because it's a really big decision. And no matter what, next year I'm going to be alone. But at least with one, I have a friend that I've known my whole life. But the other, it's a better opportunity for me. And say in a year I want to transfer again, which I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I will be better equipped to transfer from a UC to UC versus a CSU to UC. And that's what's been really on my mind. I just want to, I don't want to make a rash decision, and I'm making a pros and cons list to decide what I'd like about the schools. And there's also UCLA if I get off the wait list, which I'm really hoping. But it might be unrealistic because I was talking to a counselor, and basically they were saying that with the major I chose, economics, it's a lot harder because it's one of the most applied to majors, especially at UCLA. And so there's a lot more pressure. I mean, there's a lot more applicants that are trying to get off that wait list, but at least I'm going to try and know a yes or no versus just having a straight up no. And there's a possibility that there might be a yes in the future where I get off UCLA. And if I get off UCLA, that makes my decision a lot harder because UCLA is a really good school, but it's really close to my house, so like less than 20 minutes away with traffic. And so that's another factor I have to consider. And I will definitely, if I get into UCLA and all these other three schools, I have to definitely get housing. Or I mean, these other two schools, I have to definitely get housing because they're like 2 hours away. Or I think from Santa Barbara to my house, it's like 2.5. And then um, from my house to San Luis Obispo, it's 4 hours, which is crazy. But in those two schools, I definitely have to get housing. And if I get into UCLA, I'm thinking, well, most definitely I will get housing because I think that's a better opportunity for me because I would much rather focus on school and what I need versus things at home. Even though it's definitely a plus because I get food and all these other things, but it's also a lot stressful because I have to deal with other things. So that's just kind of been weighing on my mind recently. Also, I didn't upload on Sunday because thought it was a better idea to upload on Monday, and that's why I'm gonna upload this video on Monday. But I'm thinking of changing the days that I upload from Sunday maybe to Friday because I think it's the end of the week, and I think with having it on Sunday, it's a lot harder for me because it's like not really a mandatory thing, and it's more like a personal thing where it's like, so I kind of see it that way. And if I set it a Friday, then it's a better deadline for me because I'm thinking, oh, it's not the end of the week. I mean, it's at the end of the week, so I have all this other time to focus on it. But then by the time I get to being able to focus on it and um, start working on this, it's like Thursday, and then by that time it's like, oh, I don't want to do this, and I'll just do it tomorrow. And then the last 3 days, it's just me working on it, and I'm able to get it done. But I just much rather be able to focus uh, and put more attention towards it during the week when I feel more productive, um, because that just feels better for me. And so getting back to what the main topic of this episode's gonna be, I was trying to find the video, but I couldn't end up finding it. uh, and I'm sorry if I just straight took it, but as I do, I was watching some TikToks and I saw this video talking about the Strait of Hormuz or whatever it's going on in Iran, and it was basically talking about. I was reacting to this video, and it was about how we haven't felt the full effects of the war in Iran on oil prices. Recently, prices have been rising because companies have been preparing, and that is why gas prices have risen. As we can see last week, Exxon and Chevron, they were getting a lot of revenue, but their profits were still down, if I'm getting that right. And so basically, they're still preparing, even though things are becoming more expensive. And they're preparing basically for oil to become rare. The reason for this is how fast these huge ships that that take the oil travel, and they often travel at around 10 miles per hour. So the oil is arriving right now, maybe from a month ago, because when you think about it, Iran is around 7,200 miles away from the U.S., and if the average travel speed for these huge tankers and huge boats is 10 miles per hour, it will take around 30 days for a huge oil tanker like this, especially from Iran. Um, and that doesn't even account to the waiting period where they have to load it up from the oil fields and taking it all in. So it's going to take like around 30 days of straight traveling for a huge tanker like this to travel from Iran to the U.S. And what makes this worse is that Iran has around produces around 20% of the world's oil, and I'm not too sure about that number. So, with the Strait of Hormuz closed, which is the port, from what I'm understanding, it's the port in which these oil tankers from around the world come in, get loaded up with oil and all these things that they get from Iran. And right now it's closed down because of the war in Iran. And this doesn't even, this process of these huge tankers, as I said, it doesn't even include the unloading, the transportation to an oil refinery, processing the oil, and then finally taking it to the pump. And I've been trying to find the video, but as I said, I couldn't. So in the next couple months, um, oil is going to become even more rare, and it's going to become expensive, and it's just going to become so much harder, especially for consumers. Um, and airlines, as we can see, Spirit Airlines has already shut down, partly because of how expensive oil and gas has been, especially for these huge tankers. Um, so that we still haven't, as time passes, I feel like it's only gonna get worse. Um, and I'm gonna continue on, and I just want to leave it at that we still haven't seen the full effect of the war in Iran, especially on gas and oil prices. And as I was talking about earlier, or specifically in the last episode, I said based on stocks, April was a good month, beating out previous highs that haven't been broken since before the pandemic. But how was it for citizens? On May 8th, 2026, around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, April's jobs reports came out, and I have some comments about it. Uh, well, been some good and some bad, but basically, unemployment stayed steady at 4.3%, and non-farm payroll employment slightly increased by 115,000. And basically, non-farm payroll employment just means that people who don't work on farms. It's a little simple, but it confused me at first. The healthcare, transportation, and warehousing and retail trade were uh, have seen significant improvements. Um, I don't know what I was talking about. Um, Sorry. I don't know. I wrote this down, but now it's like confusing me because I want to make sure that it was the exact thing. What am I? Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Whoops. Oh, well, because things have been subject to change, there has been a little bit update on jobs report. Um, let me. So. Oh, okay. Well, basically, jobs. Um, job gains occurred in healthcare, transportation and warehousing, and retail trade, and so those uh, sectors. Sorry, I was looking for the word. Saw improvement during April. Healthcare, as far as I know, does not bring any concern, but an observation that I have had about the other two professions brings me some concern. Transportation and warehousing includes obviously professions like Amazon and other warehousing companies, and transportation, which I can't confirm, but I'm 90% sure this is true. It includes Uber and Lyft. With an increase in these fields, it can point to even though unemployment may not have increased, it can still show signs of people losing their jobs. Often, people after getting fired, these jobs are more accessible, especially something like Lyft and Uber, which points to the fact that even though unemployment may not be rising, people are still getting laid off and switching to more accessible jobs that don't require a college degree. What can also point to this is the people who were jobless for less than 5 weeks went from 358,000 to 2.5 million. And this can also be seen as a good thing because this shows that employers are hiring, but we don't know exactly to what extent these people are hiring. And also, I want to preface this by saying that this can mean many things, but for my point, it adds evidence that people are still getting laid off. And also, people part time for economic reasons increased from 445,000 to 4.9 million, which points into signs of my point, which that even though job reports are staying steady, people are getting laid off and switching to these more accessible jobs. And with this increase in part time, it points to the fact that um, it points to people not being able to hold on to their jobs and these companies not being able to pay them as much as they could, as and this is shown by the increase from part-time the increase in people switching to part-time. That was Kevin giving me a little brain fart. Even though unemployment may be steady, people are still losing jobs, and once you take a look at it, especially right now with how much prices have risen, it is really unrealistic for people to stay unemployed. So what this unemployment statistic is considered, it considers people who are actively looking for work without a job for a certain amount of time, meaning it is not, these reports do not include, for example, moms who became full-time stay-at-home moms, and it includes those available work, or basically people in the labor force who are unemployed for a certain amount of time. So basically saying that what I'm trying to say is that it's hard for unemployment to rise, especially with how fast prices have increased. Um, sorry, and we can see not even with examples like the Switch 2, which is expected to for the price to be risen, for the price to be raised, and in these sectors when we're importing things, especially with tariffs going on, it's hard for people to stay unemployed because many people they don't even have enough money to be. A lot of people don't have money saved up, and it's just really unrealistic for people to be staying unemployed. And these reports from people switching to part time and uh, the what else to say? People staying unemployed for less than 5 weeks. This is from household survey data, and this basically means directly asking households questions on their employment status. The establishment survey data information directly obtained from employers may tell something different, and I just want to include this for my not to like misconstrue information. Um, and in transportation and warehousing, jobs are down by 105 since reaching 105,000. Sorry, since reaching a peak in February 2025. So it's slowly reaching um, the peak of people switching to these warehousing and transportations, but it's not as significantly bad as it once was. But um, oh my god. Um, and well, in January, February of 2025, um, unemployment was 4.1%, and I don't really, I'm refraining. I don't really know how this correlates, but we are, or at least employment status in the U.S. is staying steady, and doesn't I want to say it isn't as bad as it was previously. But in the grand scheme of things, with how many people there are in the U.S., this does not show that things are getting worse, but they're staying steady, meaning not good or bad, and that's at least what I think. And I think that even though corporations are doing well, the average U.S. citizen is, I don't know how to they're doing all right. I from what I can see, because unemployment hasn't been rising, but also people are switching more to part-time jobs and not being, and this can show signs that people are struggling because they're not going to be, it's showing signs that people are not able to hold on to their jobs as long as they once were. And this could be from employers switching over to having AI to optimize tasks, and we just kind of have to wait to see. I feel like a lot of things, especially in life, it's just like waiting and see what's gonna happen next, and then basically, uh, what whatever happens, then being able to pivot off of it, and hopefully policymakers and those at the Federal Bureau are able. I mean, not the Federal Bureau. Sorry, the Federal Reserve. It's got those two confused. Are able to see what's happening and not take politics into mind, and hopefully be able to make decisions on based on monetary value everything, and consider how it's going to affect everybody, not just those, especially my personal feelings towards the Trump cabinet is that they favor um, corporations over the average citizen. So I hope that if Kevin Walsh becomes the new Fed chair, that he's able to consider um, all the factors before cutting rates and following what Donald Trump wants, following the rate at which Donald Trump wants interest rates to be cut, and just being cautious and not trying to do things too rapidly as President Trump has wanted. Um, that's all I have to say. I think the next episode I'm going to be uploading on Friday. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and please continue to watch and support.